So this is Team Resilient. My name is God knows Kendrick Vo. My team partner is Esther Tetevi. We are presenting on strategic leadership in mergers and acquisitions. And so our outline, we first will look at the concept of mergers and acquisitions, then we'll look at the challenges of cultural differences after a merger and acquisition. Then we'll look at the concept of cultural integration. Then we'll look at some leadership styles, and then we'll look at some strategies leaders can adopt to improve cultural integrations after a merger and acquisition. First, we want to understand the terms mergers and acquisition. A merger, like the slide, you can see company A and company B, they merge together, and then there is a totally new entity, company C. But with an acquisition, there's a bigger company that has more influence that will buy either most or all the shares of company B, and then will own company B as a result. There are many types of mergers and acquisitions. We can look at the horizontal type where the two companies are in the same industry, providing the same services, and then they merge together, like Airtel and Tigo did. Then there's also the vertical type where you can merge with a downstream or an upstream company. Then there's a conglomerate where companies in different industries join their forces. They are in totally different industries, but they merge together just to diversify their resources, where the companies provide to a particular, okay. What are the advantages of merge? Two, there's diversification of products. There's diversification of products. Three, there is the cost. Four, there is increased competitiveness. You see, Airtel and Tigo, after they merged, they became more competitive. But mergers and acquisitions don't come without challenges. There are challenges. One is that there'll be cultural differences. The fact that there are differences in the norms of the two different companies will create conflict. Then there's employee turnover. Those experts who in issues, which takes a lot of time when you are synchronizing the two technologies and things together. Then there's also regulatory issues where sometimes it takes a long time for the state. Customers might feel that the new product they are gaining from this measure is not up to the satisfaction of what they gained during the old companies. So as a leader, what are some of the aspects of culture you need to look at when there's a merger or an acquisition? One, you have to check whether the company you are merging with is innovative oriented or they just take directives from superiors. Two, you have to look at whether they look at quality or quantity. Three, you also have to look at whether they are outcome oriented or process oriented. You have to look at whether they are people oriented or facility oriented. You look at whether they reward team or they reward individuals. You look at how aggressive they want to achieve their goals, or there's the space for exploration. Then you look at how consistent and how consistent they are with their procedures and processes. Why do you have to look at all this? It is because assumptions drives employees' behavior, and employees' behavior is what determines results. So, what is culture integration? Well, as a leader, culture integration simply refers to unifying the different cultures of the various corporate organizations into a more cohesive and a shared organizational culture. So it aims to create a sense of shared identity and purpose in individuals who previously belonged to other groups. Now, as a leader, if you want to go into culture integration, one of the first things that you have to do is checking for compatibility. As we will get to find out, it is one of the reasons many of the mergers and acquisitions failed. You have to check if the culture of the two businesses are compatible in achieving your results. So in doing that, you do due diligence, social listening, you interview executives, you conduct stakeholder interviews, you have to look for commonalities, you have to plan for culture integration. And by the time the deal closes, you should be at culture. You acknowledge the gaps, you prioritize crucial immediate actions to take, and then you take feedbacks. Now, as a leader, you would want to take certain steps after you've conducted your culture compatibility. You look at defining your desired culture in the new organization. You communicate your desired culture to your employees. Then you align the systems and processes. And then you monitor and measure the rate of progress. What are some of the challenges? Whenever you want to integrate culture, there are certain challenges. One is that individuals will resist change. There are also the communication barriers. in terms of communication styles. Then there's also the power imbalances where the leaders will be at each other's neck. Then there's a lack of trust where employees do not really trust whether their welfare is at the heart of leadership. Then there are also those habits that people will find difficult to, change because they are joining a new uh, um, institution. Then there is the conflicting values. So all these are challenges that will arise when there is a merger or an acquisition. Look at some examples of mergers and acquisitions. These are the successful ones. In Ghana, we've had EcoBank acquiring the Trust Bank, Access Bank acquiring Intercontinental, Airtel and Tigo. It was a merger. So we notice now it is Airtel and Airtel Tigo. Then there's the Danex and the Art and Drugs merger. There's GCB taking on Capital Bank. Then worldwide, we also know of Facebook and WhatsApp, how Facebook acquired WhatsApp, Vodafone, and then Mansman, and then Google and Android. Interestingly, there was an acquisition between the two. Then there's ExxonMobil, which happened quite long ago, and then there's Walt and Disney. Look at the examples of mergers and acquisitions that have failed. So many of them have failed. AOL, Time Warner, Microsoft, Nokia, it failed. And look at on the right-hand side of my slide, there were so many reasons why these things failed. What is the missing ingredient? It is strategic leadership. Strategic leadership, the ability of the individual group or organization to lead, influence individuals to achieve a set of goals or outcome. There are many leadership styles that we know about, the transactional, the visionary, the autocratic, and all that. One theory took our focus. It got our attention. That's agency theory, which describes that there's no decision and that this your leadership style depends on the specific situation that characterizes the measure or acquisition. But then we believe that there are two leadership styles that may be relevant in acquiring where we think where the leader inspires and motivates followers to achieve a common goal. And so why is this relevant? Well, the leader is able to rally people behind the shared goals and navigate the challenges of integrating cultures. Then there's also the perceptive leadership style, which we also think is relevant to mergers and acquisition. Here, the leader understands specific challenges presented by the merger or an acquisition and then adapts his leadership style to suit the conditions. So why is this relevant? Well, it enables the leader to identify potential problems and make decisions that align with the long-term goals of the new entity that has been created. There are some traits that are needed though. The strategic thinking trait, the leader has to be empathetic, able to adaptability, and then ability to leverage several diverse talents. Now, as a leader, you would want to take notice of these key aspects in your merger and acquisition. One is engaging employee, and that means you need to clearly communicate with your employee, boosting their morale and encouraging them to stay because some of them would want to leave when they are uncertain. Then there's a cultural integration where you assess the best part of both cultures and then you merge them into one. Then there's also the change management where you provide training. You tell people that this change has certain benefits, and so you provide training to that effect. Then there's the communication. As a leader, you need to communicate with your employees, letting them understand the importance of they remaining in the new organization. And then you need to accept feedback. As leadership, you need to align very well with the new organization. Leadership cannot tell employees something whilst they are doing a different thing. Then there's also operational efficiency where you streamline your IT processes, procedures, and then you allocate resources so that everything is streamlined into one. This is a theoretical framework that we came across, the ProSci methodology. It's grouped into three phases. One, before any merger and acquisition, you as a leader should perform a cultural assessment. You should also monitor progress, and then you should review or reflect on the integration. So as a leader, these are your strategies. You need to conduct cultural due diligence. You need to develop a correct cultural integration plan. You need to build trust, enable your employees have to trust that you have their welfare at heart. You need to have cross-functional teams, and then you also need
to. You should be wrapping up soon.
Okay, and then you also need to train. Training is important. As leaders, you need to also lead by example. what do we recommend? If you're a leader and there's a merger or an acquisition, you need to prioritize your cultural integration, you need to conduct cultural due diligence, and then you need to develop a comprehensive cultural integration plan. So in conclusion, cultural integration is critical, although it is often overlooked aspect of a merger and acquisition success. You need to address cultural differences by implementing a strategic plan as a leader, and this can increase your chances of being successful after the merger or acquisition.